If you're a Chase Sapphire card holder, you need to pay attention because Chase just did something that I did not see coming. As of January 22nd, 2026, the one Sapphire rule is dead. That's right, now you can get both the Chase Sapphire Preferred and the Sapphire Reserve bonus. One per card instead of one across the entire Sapphire family. Now, I went through a Reddit thread with over 180 comments to make sense of the data points that were hidden in there to let you know how this good news could affect your future card strategy. Now, I'm sure you have a lot of questions. I'm going to try my best to address them, breaking down exactly what's changed, who this may work for, and try to address some of the mistakes that could cost you some points. As always, if you end up finding this helpful, please like and subscribe. It is huge for a small channel like myself. I've been in the churning game for over 8 years, so I kind of know what I'm talking about. It's just a matter of trying to find the things that will best help you on your journey as well. All right, chapter 1, let's start with the old rule, okay, and what that was. Because if you weren't deep in the churning world, maybe you may not have even known that there were restrictions in place. As of mid-2025, Chase changed a few things. They started treating the Sapphire Preferred and the Sapphire Reserve as basically one card or one family for the sake of awarding you a sign-up bonus. And basically, they were limiting you to one Sapphire bonus in your lifetime, period. It didn't matter if you got the CSP or the CSR. If you got one, that was all they were going to give you. No second chances, no exception. Of course, prior to that, if you recall, we did have a much better system. They were operating on a 48-month rule, like some banks are still doing nowadays. But basically, as long as you waited 48 months between the time that you got the last bonus and you applied for another one, you could get it again. In fact, the only stipulation was you couldn't hold two Sapphires at the same time. So a lot of people just downgraded or closed their card, and then they would apply and get that second Sapphire bonus. So yeah, last year we lamented the loss of being able to churn through a Sapphire bonus every 4 years. And with the most recent changes that just happened this month, time will tell if it's better than the old 48-month rule. As of right now, I will say that it's more of a slight improvement because remember, guys, we don't know what the future holds, okay? And you should not wait on one that may never come. You need to act on the best available information in the present. So don't plan your credit card churning journey 2 years or more in advance because we have no idea what kind of rules are going to be changed or what things will get nerfed or what bonuses are going to come out. All right, as for the new rule, here is what has changed. You can now get each bonus once on the Sapphire Preferred and once on the Sapphire Reserve. So, and in addition to that, you can actually now hold both cards at the same time. You don't have to go through the hassle of downgrading and such. Now, whether or not you want to do that, that's up to you, and I'll come back later to address it. The fact remains, now you can get both bonuses, and that is huge, right? Because now you have instant access to either 75,000 Chase points or even 125,000 Chase points. Now, unfortunately, the lifetime stipulation is still there, and that's exactly what it means. Once in a lifetime, the 48-month churning rule is gone. So even if you grab the Chase Sapphire Reserve at its initial launch back in 2026, you will be locked out of a second Sapphire Reserve bonus. In fact, there was one Reddit data point where someone tried it. They got the CSR way back in 2016, and they were in fact told that they were ineligible for a second CSR bonus. The gatekeeper rule. So before you get too excited about being able to double dip on the Sapphire bonuses, there is still one rule that's going to disqualify a lot of people. Yes, it's 524. It is still there. I know some of us wish that this was the thing that Chase loosened up on, but that hasn't happened yet as far as we're aware. So 524 is the bouncer or gatekeeper, right, for all their products. If you want one of their cards, that's what you're going to have to pass. Let me repeat. All of their cards. Okay, I'm not trying to insult your intelligence, but I will explain what 524 is because I've been doing this long enough and way too many people have messaged me or commented me that let me know that they are misunderstanding it in some form or another. So the rule goes, if you have opened 5 or more cards in the last rolling 24 months, cards from any issuer, any bank, even store credit cards, basically, if it shows up on your credit report, it is going to count. So if you've opened 5 or more of those, Chase will auto reject you, period. Does not matter if you have an 800 score and a 6-figure salary. It is an auto denial from their algorithm. There is no reconsideration or getting around it, okay? All right, now you're asking, Kong, how do I figure out my 524 status? There's not really an easy way. There's not like a tracker that you can just look up on a website, unfortunately. So you do have to look at your credit report. You can do that for free with Experian, and Credit Karma essentially will pull up your TransUnion and Equifax as well. So you have to count how many cards you've opened in the last 24 months. If it shows up on your report, and it's dated within the last 24 months, it will count, and that's how you know what your 524 count is. And yeah, sometimes even if you're an authorized user, that counts. That's why I recommend to a lot of people, don't add yourself as an authorized user to cards that you want to eventually get a bonus on. There are workarounds. You can remove yourself as an authorized user, let it reflect and update on your credit report and try again. But I tell you to try to avoid that in the beginning, just so you don't have to go through this hassle. All right, now let's get into the Reddit data points. There's some patterns that start emerging, so I'm going to go into some of that. By the way, the link is below, so you can look at the thread yourself, especially if you sort the comments by new. There may be stuff that's posted after this video comes out, so definitely check it out for yourself. But as of the time of making this video at the last day of January, there were 9 confirmed approvals for people who were able to get a second Sapphire bonus. Pattern number 1, the most common scenario, 7 people were approved. They are from current CSP holders applying for a CSR, right? Someone had a CSP mid-2022. They applied for the CSR. They got instant approval, no pop-up, okay? And the bonus tracker for 125,000 points, which is the current offer, it appeared in their account the next day. Pattern number 2. So for the opposite, we did get at least one. This was someone who had the CSR. They actually got it last year, and they applied for the CSP. They were able to get the 75,000 bonus tracker to show up in their account the following day. This third pattern is actually really interesting, and it's music to my ears, maybe for a lot of you too. This is someone who had only had the CSP for 10 months, not even a full year, and they got approved for another CSR with the bonus. So you don't even need to wait a full year in between your last Sapphire and this one, as long as they're different cards, right? So if you're eligible, you're eligible. I will take this over having to wait 48 months of a cooldown, because now you can get more points in a shorter span of time, meaning you can combine them hopefully for one trip in the next year or two instead of having to wait 4 years. Now it's a good time to explain the pop-up. So when you put in your info in the application and you hit submit, if you are ineligible, Chase is actually really nice about it. They will show you a pop-up. It's hard to miss, and I actually consider it a bit of a gift because it gives you a choice. You can now proceed without the bonus, or you can withdraw your application entirely. And even though, I'm one to encourage people heavily churn through cards for the bonus, this could be looked at as a good consolation prize for people who may just want the card for its benefits. This makes more sense for people who are going after the CSR, since that has way more benefits than the CSP. But again, I just want to throw that out there. But the TLDR, if you don't see a pop-up, that's great. That's what you want. That means you are going to get the bonus. Just give it a day or two for the tracker to show up in your actual account, maybe 24, 48 hours. This has been pretty consistent across the board. All right, some FAQs or concerns you may have. So the first one, I know some of you are asking, what if I product change from a CSP to a CSR or vice versa? Now, the language just simply says, if you've previously held the card. It doesn't say about having gotten the bonus before on a certain card. So I think that if you product change, I think this will count, and I think this will disqualify you from a second bonus. So that's very unfortunate. Again, you can try it and the pop-up will tell you for a fact. Another note to be aware of, please do not trust the frontline reps. They're often clueless on these kind of changes. Some of them will still argue with you that 524 is not a thing, even though that's literally a fact at this point. Some of the comments reported talking to people who were giving all kind of bad info who work for Chase, right? So at the end of the day, trust only one thing, and that is the pop-up. No matter what anyone else says, me included, really. The pop-up has the final say on whether or not you're getting a bonus or not. I'm pretty sure it's an automated process at this point, and it's not going to change regardless of what you do in the short term to try to get around it. Like, you're not getting around it. All right, now, what about holding both cards at the same time, right? Just because you can have both bonuses, does that mean you need to hold both a CSR and a CSP at the same time? I think the short answer is no, you should not hold both at the same time. While they do have some slightly different earning categories, like the CSP gets 3x on streaming, 3x on online groceries, 2x on all travel, stuff like Airbnb and parking, right? But the CSR is going to get better rates on directly booking flights and hotels. If you combine both of the annual fees, that is a lot, okay? And I don't think you need to pay it in the same year at the very least. So if you're going to keep the CSR for a year, you're better off downgrading this other CSP down to a Freedom just to save on the annual fee. I do have a link to an article from the Points Guide just giving you a comparison of the two cards so you can make that decision for yourself, do a deeper dive. But if you're asking me, downgrade the CSP to a Freedom, at least for 1 year, and then decide what you're going to do after that 12-month period. Okay, as for the bottom line, as Stone Cold Steve Austin says, we got a gift from the churning gods, okay? And whoever is eligible for this, should take advantage sooner than later, because you never know when Chase is going to dial back things. Okay, and I'm going to theorize that they're actually doing this in the first place to shore up some of their numbers for Q1 in 2026. They want those signups to look good. Maybe it has something to do with the fact that the CSR refresh didn't go as well as maybe they were hoping for. So we have confirmed Reddit data points in the thread that I linked below. I've gotten other people who have DM'd and commented me saying the same thing. So if you are eligible, if you have only held one of these Sapphire cards, never held the other one, you should apply for that other one, right? And of course, feel free to use my links if you're applying for either one of the Sapphires in the future. And if you're still not quite sure whether or not it's right for you, if you have other questions that will be better served in a one-on-one type talking situation, I do have personalized consults. The link is in the below to book that. Thank you for your time, and I will see you next time.